We have interesting people to talk to, and I'm going to let them do most of the talking. And we're going to lead off with a longtime analyst on WGN and This Week in Agribusiness, and opportunity to visit with Steve Freed. Steve, welcome and good to see you again.
Orion, it's always a pleasure to be with you, and it is the craziest year that I've seen since I've been doing it for 30 years.
It just never quit raining, but as our weather guy says, Greg Sodi says, you can get all the rain you want, and when it stops, it'll dry quickly.
Yeah, I think that one of the we had December corn rally up to 470 because of the weather conditions, and we've taken all that off because the weather did change, and then we've had a couple of USDA reports that were bearish, and the funds went from being long 200 contracts to now they're short about 60,000 contracts, and they're the drivers of the market, and they don't see a problem right now with the U.S. supply.
So the number that's gotten the biggest discussion from USDA is that per acre yield for corn. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that first of all, fields in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, maybe Wisconsin, maybe Michigan, that will not have average yield. What I've been hearing is that when people go out and look at the fields, except maybe Nebraska, they're finding 20 bushel corn less than they thought. And I don't know if that equates to a 163 yield in which co-farmer found, or something else. It's just one thing we can't adjust is these new hybrids.
Yeah, the technology.
And the technology, because when I was growing up, we'd leave enough corn in the field to put our cows on it.
That's right.
Nothing is left in the field now. And we're planting almost 40,000 plants per acre. And when I was growing up, 22,000 was the norm. So the other thing that we have to deal with is that when you look at global production, every year it's going to go up. Brazil's already talking about 124 million tons of soybean crop next year. And while demand is going up every year, it's not as fast as supply. And with China out of the mix for U.S. soybeans, those are all bearish things, along with the potential supportive thing of a lower U.S. crop.
I'm going to ask you to put the microphone right on your chin so we can get as much volume out here, because a lot of people are visiting and saying hi to old friends. We're going to be talking to Secretary of Agriculture Perdue a little bit later today here at the show, and he's been taking a lot of heat because of lost markets. Do you think we're going to be able to get some of those lost markets back?
I've been spending the last 5 years with ADM coming up with projections of what agriculture is going to look 20 years from now.
Right.
And the constants are that world production outside the United States is going to go up. Russia has 17% of their GDP is agriculture, and they're going to try to increase production. Brazil, they want to keep growing crops. China is dumping a lot of money in for their infrastructure, where last year was the first year that their barge activity out of the Amazon moved more grain than the rail. And they're spending money now to build a railroad from Mato Grosso to the mouth of the Amazon. So the second thing is constant, move some corn to satisfy some bills, but I think that the one thing that the cash market is telling us is that there's not enough cash grain corn movement. On the bean side, without China, it's not the same thing. We don't need to have the basis as strong. And so I think we're trying to make a bottom now. I don't look for much of a rally, maybe 390 piece corn, 890 Novera beans. Then I think we sit there until we know what's going on in South America, what we're going on with the China-U.S. trade deal. But I think one thing the Secretary of Agriculture has to get over is these waivers.
Yeah.
The waivers are hurting demand for ethanol and biofuel. And, we need to try to figure out how to get around that.
So final question, Steve. a farmer calls and says, what should I do? What would you tell him?
Well, I think you start by figuring out what your cost break even is. There's a lot of software out there where you plug in your expenses, you plug in your yield, and it gives you a price. You should take advantage of this basis by doing a basis contract in corn. If we do have this rally that I think we're going to have over the next 30 days, get rid of your 18 corn and soybeans. In reality, we had the strangest year ever, but it wasn't a drought. And there's still plenty of grain in the world, and we still don't have a deal. And with a carry in the market, I would start looking at peace corn at $4, beans at $9.30 for the 2020 contract.
Okay.
And I start doing some cash sales there because I think the farmer's going to plant 100 million corn acres next year. And if we have good weather, you're going to see that peace contract at $3.20. And if we have a good South American crop and still no deal, you'll see beans at $8. So those are still good prices, and you can start nibbling away at selling some cash grain. I don't think we're going to get away from this weather pattern that we're stuck in, wet springs, dry summers. But hopefully it's not as bad next year as it is this year.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and keep on analyzing the way you do, okay?
Yeah, at 65 years old, you're still learning something new every day.